Right, back in clean up. That's what she said. So yeah, the little kind of few clips you've just seen put together was the under seal finally getting applied. Stuff is fucking stink. Like, I'm kind of lightheaded from it. If I thought of it, I should have got a mask or something, or like respirator thing or something like that. But it's fine. I've breathed in worse, so I'm not too worried. It's really nice stuff. The 2 bottles are gone in the bin, but I have 2 more bottles. I didn't know how much I would get out of it coverage wise. I picked up those 2 bottles and the gun. I don't know if I said it before, my old man works for a parts suppliers company, so one of the people that he deals with just had the Schutz gun just sitting there, just in the press. The guy said it was sitting there for years. He said he gave it to me for 20 quid for the gun, and I got the 2 bottles of under seal from someone else that he deals with. Didn't have to pay for them. It was great. And got 2 more bottles of it today, just in case. Just as I said, I don't know how much I would have gotten out of it coverage wise, but out of the 2 bottles, I got everything that you've just seen. Now obviously it's difficult to get in under the car with the camera and to show you up where some of the other stuff goes, but not only is it difficult, but I can't be arsed. But yeah, I got all of that out you've seen out of the 2 bottles, and there's probably even a little bit left, so probably even a little less than 2 bottles. But it looks really nice. Like, it fucking hides everything. It really does. It hides all your kind of shitty, like ugly welds, or it hides everything. It gives it a really nice kind of uniform sort of look. Now I've only done that 1 coat or 1 pass, whatever you want to call it, but I went fairly thick with it. I saw online if you wanted to do kind of a more uniform kind of flat coat, like with less texture on it, you could either turn down air pressure if you had a regulator on your compressor, which I don't, or just hold the gun further away and let it kind of build a bit lighter, kind of, if that makes sense. But no, I'm happy with what's there. Like, it looks fine. It looks like what you'd expect to see, I suppose, kind of an orange peely textured sort of pattern, or finish. I mean, it looks really nice. I let it dry for a little while more, and I take off the mask and stuff around the exhaust there. I also did like, I know you can't really see it there now, but all up under the underside of the boot, and I got up in on top of the exhaust as much as I could. Like I said before, I'm not going dropping the entire exhaust just for the sake of this, but overall, yeah, I think it came out really nice. When it dries up a little bit more, I'll try and get that excess off just there. I guess the mask can lift it a little bit. I might do that when I'm finished here, actually. But overall, yeah, I think it looks really nice. I'm very pleased with how well it hides, like I said, like shitty welds and stuff like that, and that'll make it a lot easier for inspection when someone does look at it and go, oh yeah, that looks tidy, whatever, instead of seeing like obvious bugger welds and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, very pleased. So the next step is to get the last bit of sound deadening. You can kind of see through the floor there. I did that sound deadening, Jesus, about a year ago, I'd say, if not more, and I still have, I think, 4 or 5 sheets of it left. I'm not certain off the top of my head. And I'm not going to do the entire boot. I'll do, say, kind of, in the wheel well, essentially, maybe come up the side a bit, depending on how much of it is left. Now, realistically, I probably don't even need it. Fuck, I just stood in a puddle of some of the stuff that dripped. But yeah, get that bit of sound deadening done. Then the boot could go back together. Then, like, I could put all the trim in it and all that stuff, which I might do. I haven't quite decided what I'll do in that regard yet. One thing I am waiting on is bushings for, I'll show you here, the trailing arm. Now, I wasn't going to bother replacing these, but when I had them out, I was looking at the board, like, it's fucked. I'm amazed that passed inspection the last couple of times, to be honest. That side technically goes that way. Look how bad that is. That's probably the original bushing, I'd say. And then there's 2 little small bushings back there. Now, you can get the entire arm, the pair of them left and right, on eBay from America for about, I think it's like 180 quid shipped. They're really cheap. And if I had thought of it at all when I took them out of the car, when I started this welding stuff about 3 weeks ago, I would have ordered them and they'd be here by now. But I thought, it won't be too big of a deal, I'll be able to find that bushing somewhere and get it pressed in, just clean up the arm or whatever. I had completely forgotten about those 2. But in the meantime, I had checked, there's a website, I've used them before. I think they're the same company. There's AKR Performance and there's A4H Tech. They used to be called All for Honda, like OEM suppliers and stuff like that. I've gotten stuff off them before. They're in the Netherlands. They're really good. So on their website, they list that bushing. It gives the dimensions, and I checked, it gives the dimensions you know, that way, which is I think 59 mil, that way was 76 with a 12 mil hole, blah blah blah. List that, and it even specifies that you cannot buy just that bushing from Honda. Honda make you buy the entire arm. Now, if they still made it, which they don't, but they supply that bushing. So ordered 2 of those, and then 2 of these arrived, which is kind of annoying, which is those 2 there. So I emailed them and I asked them, look, what's the story? The funny thing is, like, that part number there on their website is the part number for that, if that makes sense. So I don't know if the website is listed wrong or something like that. But either way, today's Friday. I emailed them on Tuesday and they said, yeah, leave it with us, we'll get back to you. It's been 3 days later and I haven't heard anything out. I think it was 50 quid for the 2 of them. It's not an issue. Like, it's not, like I said before, I spent more money on stuff I didn't use. So I last night ordered the complete arm from eBay, the 2 of them. But I won't have them for about 2 or 3 weeks, so it'll be kind of a pain. So for example, if I want to put the car back together to get it rolling, to bring it to a couple of paint shops next week, I'll have to put that arm back in, and then when the new ones arrive, I'll have to take it back out. And it's not really, not the end of the world, like, but it's just a pain in the hole. I hate kind of doubling back on myself if I can help it, but you know, it is what it is. So as we said, we'll carry on. So God, I'm so pleased with that stuff. It looks really, really nice. It looks really good. Very, very happy with that. Yeah, so we'll carry on with a bit of sound deadening. That might be it then, but we'll see how we go. Right, sound deadening in the boot. So right, I think I had 2.5 full sheets left or something. I got it ages ago, like I said, over a year ago. And I think it was only like 100 quid, maybe 120 quid for 12 sheets. The size of the box there, just from that edge to that edge, so whatever that is, about roughly A3. I think there was 12 of them, but that 12 did, well, obviously you can't see it now, but the entire floor and exhaust tunnel, for want of a better word, up around the back seat, everything, the whole lot. I got really good coverage out of it. Like, I wasn't even going to bother doing the back seats, but I thought, fuck it, at the time I may as well. So yeah, boot is done. Which again covers up a lot of ugly stuff too, especially that gammy weld over there from one of the other videos that you might remember. It's a bit untidy obviously, but you know, I was just using the scraps of what was left. I put more of it on that side, particularly in that corner, because that's where the compressor sits, if the day ever comes that the boot bill goes back in. But yeah, so that's another job done. I started putting a few little bits, so there's no point even showing you, you're not going to be able to see, putting a few little bits back together, like the cover for the fuel lines and stuff like that. I ordered a new fuel filter today, which again, like I said earlier, I wish I had thought of, a couple of weeks ago, but it's not a big deal to change it, be fine. So we'll carry on from there. Nearly there now, doing pretty good. Another couple of, I checked that stuff. I don't know how long it's supposed to dry, but I'll probably leave it till tonight, or at the very least tomorrow, and then start throwing the rear suspension back in. You can see it right there. Oh, I'm going to pull off that bracket for the trailing arm bushing and give it a quick bit of paint, because I have that done on the one for the other side. You can see it sitting there, and we'll be back when that's all back all together. Right, small update. I was putting the there's 2 brackets that's supposed to, or a bracket, sorry, that's supposed to sit there, which the bumper screws into here and down here. That helps locate it and keep that nice fit along there and all that. And I thought I had it measured correctly. It's not off by much, but it's enough that the gap goes from, you know, an average looking door gap. I can't really show you anything in particular from here, but you know, a couple of mil gap all the way, and it gets super, super tight. So I have these holes the littlest bit, literally a couple of mil too high. You can see the original hole drill, and you can see I've put a little circle where it's supposed to be. So, excuse me, it's not off by much. Obviously the template I made just wasn't bang on. Excuse me, and considering both sides have had a repair, I guess it's to be expected a little bit, but not a huge issue. I was going to just, fuck it, just live with it, but it's right up, like the corner of the bumper right there was right up against, like literally squeaking off the quarter panel, and I just know over time, like every time I'd look at the car, or every time I'd wash the car and see that or something, it'd piss me off. So I was debating, I could just re-drill the holes, like make them bigger, you know what I mean, just put another hole right beside that, but it would go into the other hole, if that makes sense, because that needs to be a 11mm hole. Technically it's supposed to be a square hole, but 11mm round hole will do. So I think just for the sake of it, and because it's easy to get at now, and just for the sake of rubbing off a little bit of the under seal, I'm just going to grind all that away and just weld up that hole closed and then drill that hole. Once I have that hole and know that that's in the correct position, that'll help me find out exactly where the bottom one should be. Now unfortunately it's the same on the other side, because I used the template of one side to do the other, but again you can kind of see where it's supposed to be. See the little X there, it's not off as much on this side. Now again, I could just make the hole bigger, but I don't want to have like a gaping hole in it where there doesn't need to be, if that makes sense. So, but other than that, it's just annoying that I'll have to go back to welding stuff again, but it's not too big of an issue. Like, it's not a hard thing to fix. It's just annoying that I have to do it in the first place, just because I kind of, not that I was hurrying, but just, you know, when you get excited to start putting stuff back together. But we'll bang away and we'll get those welded up. Okay, result of what you've just seen is hole appropriately located there and the appropriate one there. Now that one, to be fair, in all transparency, that one I ended up with it doing it wrong again, and it was fine when you had the bracket. That's the bracket that I mentioned earlier. You can see where it has these two pins that go through the body, and then it slides onto the two of those, and they're pushed through the quarter panel with a couple of screws. So when that was offered up like so, where I originally had welded up the holes and re-drilled another one, it was still off a little bit, because when you tighten up, you can see the hole there and the whole bottom one there. When you tighten them up on those locating holes there and there, it just kind of pulls it all together just a little bit more, kind of pulls it up a little bit. So it went from, say, it's going to be hard to show you, it went from looking like that before I tightened it, which was fine. Obviously it was a little more forward, but you get the idea. But when I tightened it up, it pulled it up like that again. So tried to kind of re-drill another hole, ended up with, say, one hole there, one kind of down here a little bit, and it ended up being the sweet spot was right in between, which is where that is. Bit of a pain in the balls to actually figure out exactly where it was. The only original piece I had left was that bottom hole there. You can see it's a square one because that section was repaired a couple of years ago, so I knew that that hole would be in place. But what was tripping me up was, if you see, this is kind of hard to show you now, on the original quarter panel it ends just there. The aftermarket quarter panel comes down that extra couple of millimeters there, so I was lining it up like that, if you get me, kind of, you know, and that was obviously throwing me off. But when I figured out exactly where it was to go, you can see yourself there, it actually falls a little bit short, sorry. So after all of that, then the result was this, a nice tidy bumper gap the whole way. I'm very, 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 very pleased with that now. That looks pretty good. It lines up pretty good down the side as well. I thought I'd warped that panel a bit more than I did, but it seems okay. Now, it's obviously, if you were to measure it the whole way along, it's probably not bang on the whole way, but like, you know, it's about the width of your, like the tip of your finger or the width of a screwdriver the whole way. Good enough for me. So next job is to template that side, put it over on the other side, and hopefully just make one pass at the next one and not be drilling and welding and drilling and welding, but hopefully it'll knock it out first go. And with that done, it's back on the ground. It's kind of weird to see it, to be honest. This is the most complete that car has been in a long time. Long time. Good number of months. Good to be a year almost. My bumper gaps are pretty tidy. I like them. Lines up nice along the back. Very good that side as well. There is still a bolt missing from down there. I just need to dig it out of my spares box. God, it's weird to see the car like back on its ground, like pretty complete. The last few clips you saw there was the new trailing arms going in. They showed up a couple of days ago. I've reconnected the handbrake cables, bled the brakes. I can't remember if it's a toe or adjustment bolt. Toe or camber adjustment bolt on the subframe is just thrown in any old way at all. That'll all get adjusted when it's actually getting properly aligned, whenever that will be. It's cool. I'm very pleased to see it, back on its wheels. Came out really tidy. Came out really nice. So the next step is throw the back doors on it. Front bumper. I need to put the radiator back in, of course. And hopefully, this is Friday, middle of May. So hopefully now, Monday or Tuesday coming, I'll bring it to the few local paint places and see. Not who can do it. I was going to say who can do it the cheapest. Quite the opposite. Who will do it? I guess the middle ground between fastest and soonest, and reasonably priced as well. I don't want someone to go, yeah, I'll do it for €1,000 and you get it back. That's shit. I'd rather pay 3, 4, 5,000 than it be. But we'll see. So I'm going to leave this one here. That's the back end cleanup. So the next video that you'll probably see will it be going off to get painted. In the meantime, I have an entire 1.5 interiors in there that almost look grey now, even though they're actually brown. There's so much dust on them that all need to get cleaned up, because when it comes back for paint, the interior will all go back in. Then it goes to hopefully pass NCT, and then depending on how that goes, the air suspension will go back into it. I'm going to really try and have it done like as soon as possible. Like whoever ends up painting it, if they say, oh, I can't do it for 6 weeks or something, I'll offer them an extra G. If they can do it sooner, they'll give them an extra G. I don't care. Like I said at the end of the video, I just want to drive this thing now. I really do. Like, I could jump in and drive it now and just stick a bit of tax on it, but I'd rather wait till it's painted. And obviously there's other stuff to do. With a few little details in the front need to be done. Some clips need replacing. I need to put in them drive shafts that I don't think I ever showed you, but I have new drive shafts for it. Tighten up a few little things at the front, stuff like that. But yeah, so that's the back end all reassembled, tidied up. I'm very pleased. Very pleased. So I'm going to leave that one at that. I'll give you one last look. Yeah, it's so cool to see it complete. Okay, we'll see you next time.